can't believe this is our last story for HTV. What should we do? I'm rushing with ideas.
Well, whatever it is, it can't be worse than my iFly story.
What are you talking about? That was a good story.
Kelly, you don't even understand. Now, I'm not only afraid of helmets and tacky flight suits, I'm also afraid of air.
A willingness to try something new and fun and different. You don't necessarily need to have skydiving experience at all, because when you come on in, our certified IBA instructors are more than happy to get you learning and knowing everything that you need to be successful in the tunnel.
I mean, at least you didn't get disqualified after working 30+ hours on a music video.
Watch your back when you can't watch mine. Copycat tryna cop my glamour. Why so sad, but you can't have mine.
Oh, yikes. I mean, it can't be as bad as the time I did a whole hallway segment about baseball, except I don't know anything about baseball.
I remember that one.
The end of March marks the official start of the MLB season. We hit the hallways to answer Chicagoland's age-old question, Cubs or Sox?
That sports story might have been bad, but it couldn't have been as bad as my first boys basketball broadcast.
We welcome you back inside the Ken Carter Gymnasium at halftime of the MSL Championship game.
At least you have a story. You at least didn't go back to K1 speed on the first time and forget to turn on the camera.
Black screen, that sounds like Joey's reporter reel.
Hey, I was on camera that one time.
I'm Ethan Salm. I joined HTV my freshman year, and I will be studying journalism at the University of Missouri next year.
I'm Maddie Wachowski. I joined HTV junior year, and I'm attending Western Michigan with a major in aviation and a minor in media.
My name is Alex Rivera Grant. I joined HTV my freshman year and I didn't come back until my senior year. I'm going to Marquette next year to study digital media and minor in theater.
My name is Chanyu Kim and I'm a senior and I joined HTV for 3 years and I will be going to Columbia Chicago College. I'm majoring in film directing.
My name is Lucas Aponte. I've been with HTV for 3 years, and I'm going to Bradley University next year.
My name's Kelly Helmer. I've been part of HTV for 4 years, and next year I'm going to Butler University and majoring in digital media production.
My name is Joey Sinopoli. I joined HTV as a freshman and I'm an editor and I'm going to DePaul for film and television.
This year in HTV, I've mostly been coordinating the live events, which means like sending out lots of emails to people and getting people on board and getting like rosters and stats from other coaches for the games.
My time at HTV has been pretty much split in front of and operating a camera. I enjoy editing, but I'm kind of slow at it. There's people who are a lot more efficient than I am. I never liked being in front of the camera, but Mr. Hatfield has kind of pushed me to get in front of the camera more. The first time I anchored monthly, he said, "How have I not made you do this every month after?" So that's kind of been where my role is.
Mostly I spend more on doing script writing, editing, and helping other people who need some help and making the stories.
Vast majority of the time that I spend in HTV is behind a computer, whether it's just editing or checking if something I can do for the time being. Most of the time, I'm not in front of a camera. I'm usually either behind the camera or I'm editing something.
Most of my time in HTV was spent editing. I wasn't really a fan of being in front of the camera, so I had to decide between either being behind the camera or editing the video itself, and I enjoy filming stuff, but I just prefer editing.
What I enjoyed doing the most during HTV was probably filming more than anything else. I really enjoyed editing, but not as much as getting out there in the field and seeing everything unfold right in front of me and getting to film it.
Funny story, I actually got thrown into it my freshman year. I didn't pick it, it wasn't one of my choices. I just ended up in it the first semester of my freshman year, and I really haven't left since.
Ever since when I was sophomore years, Mr. Dyer introduced me to Mr. Hatfield because since I love making films, and that's where I got so fascinated after talking with Mr. Hatfield, and Mr. Hatfield encouraged me to make a football documentary. That's what I kept making more films and making short films.
I joined HTV because ever since I was a kid, I've always just loved videos. You know, I'd be 8 years old, I'd just be watching YouTube all day after school. So I thought there's an opportunity for me to make videos in high school. I will totally do that. And I joined HTV, and it was not what I was expecting, but in the end it actually turned out to be helpful because I actually started making videos on my own on the side, and that turned out to be very successful for me. So without joining HTV, I would have never had any of that.
I first joined HTV when I saw the booth at the career nights and I talked to Mr. Hatfield, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like the coolest thing in the entire universe. Like, I have to do this. And then I joined and loved it, but things got in the way and I couldn't do it for 2 years. But then I was like, no, like senior year, I'm coming back. Like, I want to do this again. It's so fun. I love all of the people in there. We're all just a bunch of crazy weirdos who just make weird stories that like turn out awesome, or sometimes they're bad, but like that's okay because we all made them together. And I feel like that's what drew me back to HTV, was all of our crazy togetherness.
So HTV inspires me to get out there and do fun things, especially with like the camera and taking pictures and also video, and just helps me like with my future goals because I really enjoy it and I can't wait to do it in the future.
I feel like HTV really changed me as a person. When I came into high school, I was really shy. I didn't really talk a lot. But then like being in front of the camera and learning all of these new skills really opened my mind and made me into a new person that's more confident, more friendly, just altogether more outgoing.
HTV has inspired me to figure out exactly what I would like to do with my life after high school and what I wanted to do in college and eventually do for a career.
HTV inspired me because back my freshman year, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, but then as I got better, I really enjoyed it, and I realized it was what I wanted to do as a career.
I feel like HTV's really helped me just to get out of my comfort zone. I came in freshman year never thinking I would do any of this stuff, and now I'm here doing all of it and sometimes doing it well. And I just do the things that scare you. Like, I went into an indoor skydiving thing and it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, but hey, I did it. And we got a pretty good story out of it. Just be yourself and go outside of your comfort zone and do the things that scare you, because they might turn into something pretty awesome.
My favorite project was probably my music video, which I worked really hard on. It was a lot of work and effort, but it turned out really great, and my actors in it were really amazing, and it turned out awesome.
My favorite project would have to be the lip sync battle that I started and eventually finished but never came to pass. It was just really fun. I got a bunch of people in here, they got to wear funky costumes, and it was like an eye-opening experience, like seeing like, wow, like I can actually make something like this. And I don't know, it felt like it gave me the skills that I needed to make future videos.
My favorite story that we did was probably the story we did on Miss Comer and her kids that she adopted from South Korea. They came over and she had to take months off at a time to go pick them up and go through the adoption process, and we just did a story on how she went through the whole process.
I think my favorite project every year is definitely A Soldier's Journey Home. It's one of the most beautiful and rewarding things that I get to be a part of, even though I am such a small part of it. I was lucky enough to have Tony Chobanov's build in Spring Grove, which was so close to home, so we were able to travel back and forth from that build and shoot that story. But also I was super lucky enough to be able to go to San Antonio for Sergeant Eric Morante's build. That was definitely the most rewarding experience I've had in this class and during my high school career. I met so many great people. The story turned out amazing, but it's not that hard when the story itself is very inspiring.
My favorite project would be A Soldier's Journey Home, because it's like you're helping other people who are in need.
My favorite project that I've worked on was the K1 Speed project in freshman year, because that was the first one we ever went out to do a big story, and it was going to appear on the announcements, and I thought it was so exciting just to go with everybody to a place and just record, and I messed up there, so I got to go again and film it all over again, but that made it even better.
My favorite video is definitely Magic Monday. It was really fun to film that with Paul and Eugene every week. Always got some great reactions from everybody.
Another one of my favorite stories is definitely being part of Maddie's music video. That was the biggest step I've taken outside of my comfort zone in my life. I was really uncomfortable, but in a good way. I feel like I really pushed myself and my boundaries, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. She did a really great job.
It's all practice makes perfect. So at first I made way crappy video back in sophomore year, but Mr. Hatfield encouraged me to step on boundaries that I need to be in front of cameras or more filming in the football field, in actual field. That's where I usually don't like to get injured, but it's like, it's mostly Mr. Hatfield is giving me a courage to step out the boundaries and keep practicing all the time to make perfect.
One thing I have learned is to always be confident in anything you do, and if you can't be confident, just fake it till you make it.
I think one of the most valuable things I've learned are the different ways of communicating with different people. If I'm reaching out to a student for a story or a teacher or a kind of company, the way I go about talking to them is very different, and I've learned the ways that people respond and what they respond positively to.
The lesson I learned is probably working with people and being a leader and helping people out with videos and stuff like that, and also not having knives in the MMA video festival.
A lesson I learned in HTV is I learned how to wing it more. I used to be very strict, followed by the book, but now I just kind of see what works and I just plug anything into an editor, and if it works good, I just send it.
Outside from camera and editing skills, I think the biggest thing I've learned in HTV is how to be more assertive. Typically in my other classes, I tend to be a little more quiet, a little more shy, but I know in order to make it in this class and eventually in my career, I'm going to need to be a more assertive person, and I think I've found how to do that in a professional, communicative way.
A lesson I learned in HTV is that it's not about recognition. Hatfield would never stand up during awards ceremonies or film festivals. He'd just give all the credit to us, whether it be positive recognition or negative. He just left it all up to us, and I really respect that and feel like that's a great way to go through a career and go through life.
One of my favorite memories here at HTV was probably falling on the ice when I went to go shoot for a video. and also spilling Joey's Baja Blast all over the floor in the media room.
I think my favorite moments in HTV is when we're just sitting around, we're all brainstorming ideas together, and you truly just feel like you're just like a part of this big, huge family, or like a crew. Like your crew feels like your family, and just that whole brainstorming process where we decide to like come up with a project and eventually make something that's truly beautiful.
My favorite part of HTV was probably the Manny's runs we made up to Manny's in Twin Lakes to get the cinnamon roll French toast.
It's hard to pick a favorite moment because HTV has truly been the highlight of my 4 years at Hersey. I've grown to know and love so many people from all places across the building. We're really kind of a breakfast club group of people. We come from sports or arts or academics or a combination of everything, and we all have our love of broadcast and digital media in common.
My favorite moment in HTV is that helping a soldier journey home, because I love helping those people who need, or like community, and seeing to all the HTV or like involving, like making a segment or films to spread around the message. It's really very powerful message.
So some of my best memories from HTV are probably just getting to know all of the people in the classes. They've become really close friends of mine, and it's just, I'll always have the fun memories of messing around in class and going to Manny's and playing K-ball.
My favorite part of HTV was definitely doing all the live basketball and other sports that we did. I had the opportunity to commentate most of them, and that really was my favorite part of the class.
I do a lot of anchoring and conducting interviews, which is what I'm pretty comfortable with, so that's always fun. But I've actually started to do a little bit more directing, like telling people like, oh, like maybe you should do this, and like helping to guide them through the whole process of making a story, and I think that that's actually pretty cool.
HTV has brought so many opportunities that I didn't think I could do in high school, and the whole experience has just been really fun.
I feel like at first I kind of struggled with like communication. Like I was really, really shy. So it was kind of a little bit of a struggle for me, like communicating like with other people, or like communicating to get a story. It was hard at first, but like as we went through the year, like I really like, I don't know, like found my path and was able to like broaden my communication skills in a way that really helped me blossom in HTV.
So when I came into HTV as a freshman, I was always shy, and I was just wondering where Hatfield would put me, and if he put me in a group, I would just figure out how to go through it myself. But now as an upperclassman, I found that I can be a bit more of a leader, and I've controlled quite a few projects as an upperclassman, so I just found I was a lot more confident now in my work.
During my time in HTV, I've been able to do a lot of different live events, basketball, water polo, volleyball, and we've been able to go on a lot of cool field trips.
I learned how to use so much equipment I never thought I'd be able to use. Like for example, when we did live streams in junior and senior year, you know, the giant black magic, and then we had the new computer with the sliders and everything. It was just so much fun to learn all of that. And you know, I don't know if I'll ever use that equipment ever again, but if I do, I'll know how to use it.
In HTV, I learned a lot of good camera skills and editing skills, but in college I'm excited to broaden my knowledge both behind the camera and learn new editing techniques.
Over the past 4 years in HTV, I have developed my skills in editing and filming, but at the same time, I have learned how to be a better team player along with everyone working together. In the future, I am looking forward to studying journalism and continuing my exploration of this field and seeing where the future takes me.
As right now, I will be doing majoring more focus on film directing in Columbia Chicago College. And in future, maybe I could be able to work on full-time in Warner Brothers or film company industry.
I think a special thing about HTV is that it really is what you make it. If you are someone who just wants to sit in the back of class and do nothing, you won't make it very far, and you'll find that out very quickly. But if you want to be someone who is getting stories that no one can find, making your own field trips wherever you want to go, doing whatever kind of project that you want, as long as you're approaching it in a journalistic way, you can do that here. And there's not an experience like that anywhere else in this building.
What makes HTV unique is that the people you work with are just so amazing. Everyone tries to help each other out. Everyone gives constructive criticism. You know, we try to send out a perfect monthly, a perfect project, even a perfect announcements when we were doing that. And just, you're never going to fail on Hatfield's shoulders or anyone else's.
People in HTV can be a little wacky, a little weird. We definitely all have our quirks about us, but we really, I think, find ways to embrace them and incorporate them into our stories because we are all working towards the same goal. We all have the same passion, and I think that's what makes us such a family.